Good afternoon, everybody. It's Monday, November the 20th, and this day is Live Chats with Maggie and Bunny. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Bunny.
Hello, hello, hello. Today, we're going to talk about dreams, mostly because we do talk about things that happen to us, and
Yeah.
we had a very strange thing happen. Maggie had a dream. Well, Maggie had two dreams, but I don't remember both of the dreams. I only remember one of the dreams that was very specific, and that's the one that we're going to talk about today, and it's going to go wherever.
Yeah. Like it does.
Like it always does. On Saturday night, Sunday morning, into the wee hours, I had a dream. And strangely enough, my dream was about Bunny. But it was bizarre because I dreamed that Bunny was sitting in my living room working on At Above and Beyond stuff in my living room while I was sleeping. When I woke up from this dream, I was fairly certain she was downstairs in my house. And I'm laying there and I'm thinking, wow, what's she working in my house for? Like, what is she here for? I pick up my iPad. I said, not thinking I'm going to get a response, I sent a message to Bunny and I said, I just had the weirdest dream that you're sitting in my living room working on At Above and Beyond stuff at this weird time of the morning.
It's like 3:30 or something like that.
And Bunny, what happened?
And I messaged back and said, well, I am on the computer in my living room working on At Above and Beyond stuff. But I'm not in your house.
But not in my house. But then I said to you, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I was pretty sure that if I came downstairs, you were downstairs.
What was even more crazy was like I was asking you things like, well, how, like, first of all, I don't have a vehicle, so how did I get to your house, right? That question isn't even like, that wasn't even something you even considered. Like, how am I getting to you? And then second of all, like, I was like, how am I getting in your house? And like, you're like, and Connor, your dog, didn't even bark when I got in there. And you said, and your husband was awake and didn't even care that I was in your house. Like,
yeah, and that's because in my head at that time, that dream was so real to me.
Yeah.
And you were here, and I'm going over, and I said, "But how'd you get in?
Yeah.
And why didn't the dog bark? And why didn't Peter say, what the hell is Bunny doing in our house in the middle of the night?"
Because I'm pretty sure he might say something. Like,
he was still awake. And then when you said to me, well, how did I get in? I had an answer.
Yeah.
I knew how you got in.
But it was something I didn't previously know anything about. So then I was like, well, I didn't know that, so I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. And it was just so weird. And so weird to the point that I wonder, did I connect with you in some way?
And that's what I felt.
Was sleeping.
And that's what I felt. I mean, I had thought it was funny because the things I was working on are things for At Above and Beyond. So it wasn't, things for Buddy Keating or just randomly, watching videos or anything. It was specifically for our business. And I did think about, like, because we can, and this might be something that people, would know, is that we send each other Facebook Messenger messages in the middle of the night because we know both of us won't be woken up by those. We don't get notifications for that. So that's a safe way for us to communicate that, we don't bother the other person and we'll get to it. So I had thought about sending you a message about what I was working on, probably about maybe 10 minutes or so before you actually messaged me. So that was interesting in itself, is that I was thinking about you and that it is a potential that you were connecting to that.
Yeah.
And so that's a potential.
And sure, it isn't unthinkable to me for that to happen because, and I can only speak from my own personal experience, is I know that at nighttime when I'm sleeping, I do travel places subconsciously.
Yep.
unconsciously in the spirit realm, whatever you want to call it. And for people who think I need medication now who are listening, no, I'm pretty sure I'm not insane. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure this is just a regular occurrence that happens to some
Most
people,
people.
maybe all people.
Yeah.
But because I do travel to a different realm when I'm sleeping.
Right.
And the way that I know it's not a dream
Right.
is because if I go somewhere and I think I'm afraid of it, I can always look back and see myself laying in the bed.
Right.
And that's how I know not to be afraid. If angels come and get me to take me somewhere and I say to them I'm afraid, they say, "Look it, you're in your bed. You're
Yeah.
safe in your bed in your house." And when this is occurring, I can see myself
Yes.
laying in my bed. Plus, when I come back from this travel place, I physically feel myself come back into my body
Okay. Yep.
that is laying in my bed. So it's not unthinkable to me that you could wake me up
Yes. Yeah.
in a dream state because of something that you want to tell
Talk
me
to
or
you.
share with me,
Yeah.
talk to me about. I might tell you, don't do that often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please save that for emergency.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be more careful in the
But
future.
but yeah, it's pretty cool that something like that happened. And I think it was real because like I said to you that night when we were chatting in the middle of the
Yes.
night on Messenger, I did have another dream, which now I can't remember.
It was
Because I
it
was,
was the girls from Grimsby were stealing your Christmas
oh yes, yes, yes.
decorations.
Now you did. Yes. Because I wasn't sure if this dream state was Indian food that I ate the night before and
Yes,
went
yeah.
to bed too early. Yeah, because and I know sometimes, like, had I not told you about that dream, the second dream, I didn't remember it.
Yeah.
And that's usually how I know that something is a time travel
Right.
because time travel dreams I remember.
Right.
Random food I ate too much before I went to bed
Yeah.
dreams, I don't usually remember the
Yes.
next morning.
Yeah.
I remember them when they're happening and when they
Right.
scare me when I wake up in the night,
Right.
but usually I don't remember them in the morning.
Right.
But when I remember finite details of
Mhm.
something, to me, it's usually the fact that it's because that really did happen.
Right. And like
And
it can be that, we made a connection and like your mind just kind of like created it for whatever, you put me in your living room. The thing that really got me was when you said, "Are you sure?" Like, was I said to you, I'm in my living room. I see my wall. I see my computer. I hear the dog snoring. I was like, I'm well aware. I hear Denton, my youngest son, going on his keyboard, typing away on his keyboard. And so I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm in my house. And then you said, "Are you sure?" And I got full body chills, goosebumps everywhere. And I realized that it was letting me know there was a spiritual experience in some way. There was some kind of woo woo, whatever stuff that had happened because of that. And
yeah,
it made me question my reality. It made me question if I was actually in my house, like if I was actually here on my computer. And I was like, because you were so convincing that you thought I was in your living room. And you're like, if I come downstairs right now, I'm going to see you down there. And like you had me convinced that that was 100% a possibility. That you were going to come downstairs and I was going to be sitting on your couch on my computer. And I was like, what would that have looked like? And I'm getting chills again just saying that. Because I mean, me personally, I do believe in like multiple realities, multiple, everything exists. So kind of like a choose your own adventure book, which is already written, has all the choices. I think that the universe is the same. All the choices are already there in possibilities. And we just kind of, our consciousness kind of just hops in to see which we observe. And
yeah,
so I took that as you seeing a potential parallel universe where that is something that, because that is a possibility. I mean, in this reality for me, it wasn't because of all the things we listed, but in that reality, like you had answers for how this could
Yeah.
happen. So it was like, so that is a possibility. That is in the realm of possibilities. And
Yeah.
so to be like in that situation, I was like, what, like I started to think, what would happen if she told me she did go downstairs and I was there? Like what implications would that have
Yeah.
meant for reality and what's happening? And I know that, like for me in particular, I've been in the spiritual communities, I've been seeing people talking about this shift, right? The shift that's happening, the, parallel worlds, the new earth, whatever the things, right? It's the buzzwords. I don't always like to use labels, but they've been talking about that and about how there is like splits and that we're really ramping up to
Yeah.
like things happening, and people are mentioning like a lot of things that are happening that are they can't explain, that are just blowing their minds, and they're just making them question the things
Yeah.
that they thought.
Well, and it is, like you and I, for me, it's those holy shit moments that
Yes.
Maggie has had and throughout my spiritual journey. And to me, this is just a next level holy
Mhm.
shit moment
Right.
when you imagine the possible of that.
Right.
Imagine the possible of that. Now, another strange encounter that's tweaking my spiritual mind,
Mhm.
even at this moment, is my grandson is sick
Mhm.
and had to go to the hospital 2 times. And strangely enough, now for people who are listening who don't know the distance, my grandson lives at least 8 hours away
Yeah.
from me by car.
Mhm.
So we don't see each other very often, but we connect virtually a few times a week, if not every day, but
Mhm.
at least a few times a week. Well, last week I had a virus in my mouth that gave me canker sores all over my tongue, in my cheek, and everything. How bizarre is it? My grandson is sick with a virus that gave him canker sores in his mouth,
Yeah.
on his tongue, cold sores on his face. How bizarre is that?
Yeah.
The connection that my grandson and I have, and I've talked about it before, of a spiritual soul
Right.
connection. And when I found out what he had, I'm looking in the mirror and I said, "Oh, honey, you're not supposed to take grandma's illness. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to take yours
Yeah.
because mine went away
Mhm.
and he got it."
Right.
Even though we were not in physical connection in any way for me to give him this virus.
Right.
But his symptoms are very remarkably close to mine.
Right. Right.
So, like, as with dreams, as with different dimensions, as with this example, it just shows me that things that I don't understand
Yeah.
might be possible on a
Yep.
spiritual level.
Yep. And it is, for me, it shows up a lot in synchronicities. Like, and I've said this a lot, even in our book Spiritual Encounters, which is available on Amazon. So, but for our book, a shameless plug, our book, Spiritual Encounters, both of us did write from our perspectives of, our life up until now. Of, me was very much in the technical, scientific kind of stuff, but I always knew there was more. So like in this technical, scientific, logic brain, rational brain, it's always requires physical proof, things,
Yeah.
tangible things that you can measure physically. But I also knew my whole life that there were things that I couldn't measure physically, that I just knew. Like I always knew angels existed. I always knew that when we died there was somewhere else, because I did have
Yeah.
dreams of, I had many dreams of of being a World War II soldier who didn't speak English. There were things that, at 6 years old, a 6-year-old shouldn't know about. And
Right.
but I knew these things, like I had vivid dreams, and I knew I was this soldier. I knew I was this person. I knew that these experiences had happened to me. Things like the bombing of Hiroshima, although it wasn't that one, it was the second one. I can never remember what the name is, but the second bomb that went off. And I know that I physically saw that with my eyes. Like my dream had me in the perspective where you could see it. And
Yeah.
just things that happened in the dream state for me and my family. We've allowed dreaming things to happen, where anything can happen spiritually. So you're allowed to talk to your dead people. And I know, a lot of people will probably say that that's something that they've experienced. I know that a lot of questions I get in my, work with Buddy Keating is people saying to me, my dad or my grandpa or my grandma or whoever it was, my mom, my sister, she came to visit me in my dream last night, and it felt so real. It felt like she was there with me. I'm getting chills again. It felt so real. Do you think that that was really her? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because in that space, there is like this, again, like you said, there's this place that your soul can travel to where they can meet you, and you can physically even hug them. You can touch them. You can hear them. It's exactly the same as we did on this physical plane. And I've experienced that many times. Also,
Yeah.
like you said, there's a difference. There's just this tactical difference. For me, it's usually the perspective that I have, is like I am looking up at the people. Even though we're like on the same level, I'm not really on the same level. I'm kind of like if I was in the middle of, like, if an elevator stopped in between floors and the doors open, and I'm kind of like in the elevator looking up at the people. That's sort of what it is. Like I'm in the floor, I'm doing that. That's my experience, and I
Yeah.
know that everybody has different experiences for that. But I think like the biggest one is just recognizing that there are differences. There are things that can happen in your dreams that, I call sometimes movie dreams, where I feel like I've popped into somebody else and I'm
Yeah.
watching what's happening in their life. I don't recognize the people. It's people I've never seen in my life. Well, how did I make that? Like, how did my brain make that stuff up? There's a lot of people will say that they wake up and all they remember is they saw a wolf in their dream or an owl in their
Right.
dream or something like that. So then, you look up, why are there so many dream interpretation books if there isn't something to it, is
Yeah.
what I'm saying, right?
I agree. And I think what we're inviting today to our listeners
Mhm.
is be open to the possibilities that dreams can be something more than just a dream.
Mhm.
Be open to the possibility that there's a shift coming, and there
Yes.
is a shift in the spiritual world, that we are doing things that we never used to do,
Right.
even though we don't understand them.
Yeah.
Like when the thought pops into my head of the reality of you being downstairs,
Yes.
my brain says, no, that's not possible. But my spirit says, oh, but is it?
Right. And I'm
The
getting chills
same
again.
as the same as when I think about my grandson
Mhm.
having the same virus that I've had, my brain says it's just going around in the world.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with you. Or does it?
Right.
And that's why we're having this conversation today.
Mhm.
And that's why people are hearing this conversation. Just to be open to the possibilities that there is something that we're not aware of, and that it could be possible.
Yeah, being open to the possibility, just being open. That's it. And being curious, like openly curious, kind of like a child, who just kind of looks at things and is like, "Oh, oh." And just kind of, I
Yeah.
don't know. I know that right now a lot of people are I know they talk about awakening. That's whatever. Like really, what I think that means to me when you say awakening is just realizing or seeing, observing, understanding
Yeah.
that there's different than the things that you've been taught, the things that you've believed, the you know those things might not be it. There might be something else. And at
There might be
times,
more. Yeah.
yes, and that at times that can be scary, especially because you've spent for me what 40, I'm going to be 48 next year. So like or next month I mean, it is like 48 years you might have spent, 50 years you might have spent, 60 years you might have spent believing these specific things. So your entire reality, your entire
Yeah.
identity is based on these beliefs. And so when you start to see things or experience things that you're like, that doesn't fall in with what I believe, that is something different. You're like, whoa, what does that
Yeah.
mean for who I am? And that can be scary time. And you can always reach out, people, that's when people start to look out for more resources for, YouTube videos. You can find tons of groups, you can find tons of people. It's getting more and more. Obviously, you could reach out to us as well and talk to us about it. Even talk to us privately. We do have things that we do on our own as well. And so you can do that, see if what we have available. But there's so many resources out there for free or for paid that you can do, that you can find out what it is.
And just watch for synchronicities,
Yes.
because I know for me, when creator spirit, whatever you want to call it, is trying to give me a message, I'll get it once.
Yeah.
I notice. Then I get it again. Whoa. By the third time, I'm going, okay, I get you.
Yeah.
So watch for synchronicities where something's coming up in different ways, but it's the same thing over again.
I'll even say
Watch for that.
it doesn't take, I don't even think it takes 3 times anymore for you. I think now
No.
you've been starting to
And
see it
part
a
of
little bit
it,
more.
well, and part of it for me too, because of what I do
Mhm.
as a death doula, and because of the way I choose to live my life, I fully believe that my veil between
Right.
real and unreal and spiritual and the and natural world
Right.
is completely open,
Yes. Yeah.
more so than it ever has been in my life.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. I don't care
Mhm.
if people think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I don't care. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter to me, because I like how I am
Right.
spiritually available.
Mhm.
That, spirit can wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and give me a message. And I think that's so cool. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to come in the regular way.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Spirit can ask me to do something that's outside of my comfort zone, and I'm getting comfortable with that now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're asking me to, I don't know why, but if you're asking me to,
Yeah.
okay. And part of it is because I'm not connected to the outcome.
Yeah.
If spirit asked me to walk up to somebody and give them some flowers, it doesn't matter if they think I'm nuts, because I'm not
Right.
connected to the outcome.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I'm connected to my source. And if my source says to do that, my source knows why.
Right.
I don't need to know why.
Yeah. Exactly. And
And
yeah, I mean, doing more of that in your life. And I think that that's the important thing too, is that the more you do it, the more you'll trust it. Trust that it, because you will see some results. Sometimes you don't. When I give in my personal business of Bunny Keating, when I give messages like tarot readings and mediumship readings and stuff, sometimes I'll never hear feedback. Like people will never tell
yeah,
me, what had happened. But a lot of times, somebody does they come back and they say, that was exactly the way that you said it. And it's funny to me because I don't even remember what I said. But the more that I've trusted just giving these, because I've always been getting those messages. I just didn't realize what they
yeah,
were. I didn't realize what it was. And like you said, if they think I'm crazy, people have always thought I was a little bit weird because I didn't always fit into the box.
yeah,
But I'm starting to learn that those things are my superpowers. That's the things, those are the gifts. Those are the reasons. These are the things that I offer the world. And I think
yeah.
you're seeing that too. The more authentic we become. And it's funny, we're talking about dreams and now we're talking about authenticity and who we are, but that's the way that we do it. That's
Yeah.
what we do is that
And I think part of it too is because I've dreamt about this life that I'm now living. I have dreamt about this life that I am now living, you
Right.
know, and an example of it too is on Saturday I was out and I seen somebody outside of a store with their cup,
Mm-hmm.
and Spirit told me to do something.
Mm.
And I did.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way for me to find out how that happened or
Right.
what that is.
Right.
But I am connected 100% that I knew that's what I had to do.
Right.
And that's what I talk about not being connected to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have any way of finding out what happened there except
Right.
in a spirit realm
Yep.
if
Yep.
Spirit chose to show me.
Right.
But I still knew that I had to do what I was asked to do, or I wouldn't have felt complete.
Right. Right. And that is when same thing when I get the nudges. There are times where, maybe I can't in that moment, or for whatever, whatever the thing may
Yeah.
be. And then so what I do is I say, well, that's a no from me right now, but I hope that you find someone else who can fill that
And that's
requirement.
important to
Yeah.
acknowledge. And it's important for us to mention that, because what if I was asked to give them $10 and I didn't have $10?
Right. Yeah.
You know, what would that be?
Yeah.
It's okay to say no sometimes.
Yeah.
Or what if you just feel uncomfortable about that
Yep.
situation?
Yeah.
That's okay too.
Yeah.
That's okay too. Because there's a whole world of people
Right.
that Spirit can ask.
Yeah.
If that message had to happen.
Yeah.
There's a whole other bunch of people if you
and
said
that is
no.
something, we've talked about, I think before, is like Spirit is going to express physically through the collective consciousness. The things are going to be expressed. So if you say no, someone else is going to do it. So like those times where you've had an idea or a thought or a dream and you've had inspiration and you're like, I'm going to do this, but then some reason, some way you've stopped it, and you see someone else did the same thing. Now, granted as well, like we want to talk about this as well, just because someone else has already done something, like with our company, with At Above and Beyond, like I was floored to when you physically have how many books we have put out to the world, when you physically see the things that we've helped create and how many people we've already touched lives, you realize how much that is. But there are already publishing companies out there. There are already people who are compiling books. There are already people who have authors who are writing for them, but it's not these authors. It's not these stories. It's not these messages. It's not done with this energy in this way. So yes, there may already be someone out there already doing the thing you want to do, but they're not you. So they're not putting that part of you in there. So do it as much as you can, to whatever way you can, and as best to your ability in every moment. That's what.
And if you're having a dream,
yeah,
it could be telling you something. And that's why we're talking about dreams today. Mm-hmm. You could be having a dream that's telling you something, or you could suddenly realize that the life you've dreamed about, you're now living.
Right.
And I can honestly say that right now.
Yeah, that's great.
The life I have dreamt about, I am actually living. Mm. Not awesome. In the house I was in when I had the dream. Yet. But maybe that's coming soon.
Well, because
maybe in 2024, you never know.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is like every time that you have, and these are different dreams, these are like your hopes, your wishes, your desires, but that's still dreams. And when you have the dream, there's like, as soon as you attain that goal, there's something else that you're going to have a dream, or that dream can get bigger, it can broaden, and sometimes it can be even more than what you even thought of. And it's those kind of things. It's I don't know, it's just amazing. I love dreams,
because if I can dream this into existence, wow, right, what is the next thing that I can dream into existence? So for today, that's what we're talking about, dreams.
That's right. And obviously, for the people who are watching us live on Facebook, you find us every Monday afternoon live on Facebook on our Facebook page. And then we do go on to podcasts everywhere our podcasts are available. So that's through Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, all of the list, iHeartRadio, I think too. And that will be on Sunday at 11 a.m. That's where you would find us, Sundays at 11 a.m. And go to our website. I just revamped it, and we're adding more things to our website. So that's where you can find all of our books that we've done, collaborative and solo, where we've helped other people. You can find a whole bunch of information for us and reach out to us at ataboveandbeyond@gmail.com, and our website is ataboveandbeyond.com. So that's it for today.
If you want to talk to us about your dreams, reach out. We'd love to
Yes.
hear.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everybody.